Are we good to go?
Are we live? Are we here?
Sorry about that abrupt entrance. Welcome into the PHNX D-backs podcast. This is, of course, not the way we wanted to start out things, but we're very busy around here, all right? So don't, our apologies, but welcome in. My name is Derek Monti. Of course, I'm your mayor of PHNX. This guy over here, he's the vice mayor, also your thunderstick, the one and only Jesse Friedman.
To be fair, our music does need an improvement, Derek. I think at some point before the start of the season, I don't know, it's a little basic. Like, I think there's some room for improvement there. So I don't mind going an episode without hearing it. Maybe if you're on the audio side, we're gonna go back and patch it in.
Maybe.
I don't miss it too much though. I'm all right.
See, everybody's confused, Jesse. Without the intro, they don't know that we're here and that we're doing the thing. But of course, this show is brought to you by the fine folks at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Welcome in, guys. We had some fun going out and watching the Arizona Diamondbacks on day 2 of their spring camp. Of course, we got to see some of the pitchers we haven't seen up to this point. There's a lot of guys around camp. It's not just pitchers and catchers. Jordan Lawler was there today taking batting practice, but it was kind of interesting to see, especially some of the relief pitchers that the Diamondbacks acquired during the offseason in person for the first time. Seeing Carlos Vargas pitch for the first time was pretty impressive. He had a fairly nice looking fastball, and Miguel Castro might be the tallest baseball player I've ever seen in my whole entire life. I don't know. That might be the case.
So on Carlos Vargas, our friend Jack Summers had a radar app on his phone, which
didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say it didn't work, Derek, but we got one reading of 38 miles an hour and another of 157 miles an hour. So maybe if you take the average of the two, that's Carlos Vargas' true velocity. But who's to say, Derek? Maybe he just put in some good work over the winter, and he added 50 miles an hour.
Maybe that would be
his fastball velocity.
Impressive.
Who is to say?
Yeah. We very much so need to take a second to appreciate Jesse's shoes, by the way. He doesn't have very many shoes, but these are very good shoes that he has on.
I get complimented on these shoes frequently, and I wear them basically every single day.
Every single day.
Yeah, they're kind of wearing out, but hey, I still get the compliment.
He did a lot of walking around Salt River Fields today, so they might not last too much longer. But speaking of working on stuff during the off season, we did get a chance to talk to Torey Lovullo a bit about what things that guys are working on, what their off-season plan looks like. And I mean, as much as I'm doing a terrible job at butchering the explanation for this, let's take a listen to Jesse's question and how Torey Lovullo reacted to said question.
When it comes to like off-season adjustments, Torey, how do you guys balance like maybe a player coming up with some ideas of things they want to add with maybe your input into that? Do you guys have some players where you ask to do certain things over the offseason, and other players where maybe you just say, just keep it as it is, just kind of keep working on what you've been doing already?
Yeah, I know what you guys think when I say that's a really good question, but that is a really good question. That is a really, good job, really good question.
First one of the spring.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Way to go, Finks.
Stop giving him.
I
love, I don't know what I love more.
Are we not playing Torey's answer to this
we're going to get to his answer, but we're first going to analyze your question, and Torey saying how good of a question it really was. God. I don't know if it's the fact that he was so momentarily blown away. That was hilarious to me. Like, he couldn't even think of an answer in the moment because Jesse's question was so mind-blowing to him. Or the general murmur from the peanut gallery of journalists who all had to tell you, good job, and especially Steve Gilbert for calling us Finks. Thanks for that nickname, Steve. By the way, that stuck around the ballpark quite a bit. Zac Gallen called us Finksers later in the day. But let's get an answer to Jesse's question in regards to what the Diamondbacks players were doing during the offseason and how Torey Lovullo's kind of committed them to making improvements in their game.
Yeah. We have kind of modified and fine-tuned the off-season process every year since I've gotten here. This past off-season, I feel like we have gotten down to something that's going to be very positive and push us in the right direction about making improvements for every player. So I had them put it in writing what their intentions were this off-season. I have that right now, and I'm going to set that up and follow through on it with my one-on-ones that are coming up. So we heard it through their eyes, and then we fed into some of the things that we also wanted them to work on. So it was very clearly defined when they stepped away from us this past off season. and it was an agreement. It wasn't like we were jamming it down their throat. I'm going to see where that, I'm sure there's progress that's been made, but we're going to find out here really soon in these one-on-ones. So 2 things, probably mostly through their eyes, and they're smart. They know what they need. And then it's us there to also make recommendations and to give them what they need to improve those limitations.
That seems like a big commitment. It seems very, because speaking of someone that worked in the corporate world, that seems very much like our annual reviews that we would get, where we had to like write down for our boss things that we were going to improve on and our goals.
I still can't believe that you worked in the corporate world.
Derek. It was
Derek
miserable.
Montilla in a cubicle.
It wasn't great.
What a concept.
Yeah, but what do you think? Because he said that this is actually kind of one of the first times he's done this, and it seems like, again, this is kind of the evolution of Torey Lovullo as a manager.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like Torey's kind of switched up a few things. We talked about bullpen roles a little bit on our show yesterday. But yeah, this is something I'm definitely going to be digging more into. This was kind of the first of a long line of questions I plan to ask, not only Torey, but other coaches, players, of course, as well. But it's an interesting idea, right? Like players, for the vast majority of their lives, they're the ones who are in charge of what pitches am I going to throw, right? What things am I going to work on, those kinds of things. And then eventually, you get into being a Major League Baseball player and you have a lot of coaches bringing in their input. But as Torey talked about there, they also want to give players some agency. Like, hey, our players are smart. They know, the kinds of things that would take their games to the next level. I wasn't expecting this, though. There's a lot of accountability in this process. Torey Lovullo, apparently, as you just heard, is having Diamondbacks players put in writing at the beginning of the offseason what they are going to work on over the offseason. And then, as you also heard him talk about, he is holding one-on-ones with players to see how they followed through with that and how things went. The D-backs don't want to be in a position where players are just kind of going rogue, trying a whole bunch of different things on their own, experimenting with a bunch of different things without the team being a part of that process. So it makes a lot of sense to me, and I'm excited to hear more from players about, how this is actually unfolded over the offseason.
And he confirmed it was an agreement, right? So it's not necessarily something that he is handing down to the player to improve without their input, without them talking about the things that they need to improve.
It sounds like it starts with them, basically.
Yeah, it's things that they want to improve themselves. They know themselves. They know what they need to work on, where their weaknesses are, and really, Torey just wants to, I think, kind of hold their feet to the fire a bit, but maybe just kind of help out with that commitment. Like sometimes having someone follow up with you and make you, kind of go back to what you said and see if you've actually done anything to get to achieve your goals, to get better. It really seems like something that's smart and something that's not very much like Torey. Torey is very much a player's manager.
That's true.
So this really does seem like he is evolving to that point of trying to get them again, that commitment level from them, and not just be kind of, everybody's best friend at times, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Torey ever got to the point of trying to be everybody's best friend, but it's no secret that he has been, as you said, a player's manager, right? Like he's the kind of guy who his relationship with players is always going to come first, and you could make a case that has been to a fault at times, right? In his time as the Diamondbacks manager.
Well, he said that, right? Like that's something that he's admitted to.
I think he has also totally admitted that. And we heard a little bit about that last year when the Diamondbacks decided to exercise Torey Lovullo's option for this season and bring him back as their manager. I remember talking with Josh Rojas at that point, and he talked about how Torey, he still is that guy who's kind of in your corner and wants what's best for you. He wants you to be comfortable in your role and all of those things that players managers do. But he also has kind of been getting on guys. It sounds like a little bit more than he has in the past. And this sounds like something that kind of falls in line with that, right? It's almost something you do if you get in trouble, right? Like put in writing what you're going to do, and then we're going to follow up. It's an
improvement plan, and if you don't do this, then there's going to be consequences, right? Like, I don't really think that's it, but Jack Summers asked a follow-up question in regards to what Jesse asked, and he did say that, like, do the guys that follow through with this plan and do the things, pay attention to the details and do the things that Torey has asked of them, do they basically have a leg up on the competition when it comes to a position or being part of the main roster? And Torey confirmed that. Torey confirmed that, obviously doing all of the things that he asks of you to do and the ways to improve, that's a big thing about, a commitment level that he wants again for this team. And also, just showing that you want to improve and be better, help your team win.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. We're going to try to talk with some players and kind of see how this is unfolded. We know that Merrill Kelly, at least entering the offseason, was working on adding a pitch potentially. So maybe we'll see if we can find out what pitch. We have some guesses as to what pitch that will be. Stay tuned, though. Maybe on tomorrow's show we have more official confirmation. But there are players in that clubhouse who have gone through this process and made changes, and are probably going through one-on-ones with Torey Lovullo to kind of follow up and see how those changes went. And hopefully it results in some guys taking steps forward this year.
Speaking of starting pitchers like Merrill Kelly, Zac Gallen had some very interesting, fun comments today in the clubhouse in regards to the Cy Young vote from last year and who did and who did not vote for him. And honestly, it was one of the funnier things that we've heard, because Zac Gallen basically said he knows who didn't vote for them. And he has a list. Yeah,
he said they're on a list somewhere, I believe.
They're on a list
or
somewhere.
They'll be on a list somewhere.
Well, speaking of that list, I might have that list right here in front of me, because we may or may not know who did and didn't vote for Zac Gallen. Megan Montemoro, JP Hornstra, Christina De Nicola. Is it De Nicola?
These names are unnecessarily hard to pronounce. I'm glad
Kurt
you're
Hogg,
doing this.
Yeah. Mike Puma. Okay, Susan Slusser. Really, Susan? Anyway, we have the list is basically what we're saying. But Zac Gallen sounds very petty, and I love it. I'm very one of the things that we know about Zac Gallen is that he properly knows how to use things like this as motivation. And honestly, I think with what he did last season, with what he accomplished, I feel like he knows it was special, and I think he doesn't feel like he was really recognized for his scoreless innings streak.
Yeah, I mean, 44 1/3 is a pretty big number. I mean, I don't know what more Zac Gallen could have done in the second half. Yeah, I was in the scrum today talking with Zac Gallen about his offseason and a number of other things. He was asked by Nick Pecora of the Arizona Republic, what do you use as motivation coming into a season like this? And Nick asked specifically about his Cy Young finish last year. Right, he finished 5th in Cy Young voting. We've talked about that. I think we're not here to say that Zac Gallen should have won the Cy Young Award. I think Sandy Alcantara.
I think we both said Sandy Alcantara.
I think it's pretty clear at this point. Yeah. You'd have to really be a homer to say that Zac Gallen should have won the Cy Young, but you could make a case he should have finished higher than he did.
It does feel like you're just splitting hairs at that point, because what's the point? You're just mad he finished 5th instead of 3rd. Like, where should he have been at? You know what I mean? But it's proper motivation for Zac Gallen, and that's all we care about. We want Zac Gallen to be pissed off, and we want Zac Gallen to be ready to go out there and kick some ass. And Torey Lovullo, I think, agrees when it comes to Zac Gallen's comments and the fact that that is something he is going to use to motivate himself in 2023.
Yeah, for him, for sure. I think he compartmentalize things. He can compartmentalize things the right way and use it to his advantage. I've seen that before. I know there was a particular matchup against a particular hitter that we saw a couple times last year that he wanted to show everybody who he was inside of that matchup. So I know he's a very prepared, a very energized guy, and you just give him a little extra push in something, and he can handle it. So he pays attention to that stuff, as all great players do.
Have you spoken with him directly about the adjustments?
And yeah, by the way, shout out to Cogs for being here for the first time in the chat or in the live episode. We're happy to have you here. And he says Gallen over Fried, in my opinion. And I don't know if I disagree with him, but
yeah, they were really close.
Yeah, they were really close. But what do you think though, overall? I mean, is this just because Zac Gallen's a very funny person, and I think at times this was maybe a little
very
funny,
competitive,
but this did not seem this seemed like real. This seemed like he was, again, it's just bulletin board material, but it's that kind of thing that can really motivate a player to go out there and give it, 100, at least 110%.
Yeah, hopefully we get the audio that we can share with you at some point. But I was in the scrum when Zac Gallen was talking about this, and I don't know. There was something in his tone of voice when he said these words that it kind of, I don't know. It gave me the chills.
Ryan
for a
said it the
second
best.
there.
I said this to you at the table, and you didn't understand this reference. He said Zac Gallen is going to be Steve Buscemi and Billy Madison. Yes, he is. Maybe without the lipstick, but regardless, either way, it's going to be something fun to see. I'm super excited about that. He also called us Finksers. We talked about that a little while ago. The Finksers thing was something, of course.
He called me.
He called him
Finks.
Finks. He called him Finks.
He didn't call you Finks.
He didn't even call you Finks. He asked if he could answer one of your Finks's questions, right?
That is correct.
He labeled us the same way I labeled Pacoda as an entire organism, right? Like we're just one to Zac Gallen. However, he did say that we should go with maybe the name Sphinx, which is not a terrible idea.
I mean, he referenced the fact that the Diamondbacks mascot is a bobcat, so
kind of fits.
I guess it kind of fits.
I have a Sphinx, so we already have a mascot of our own ready to go at any point. And I just like the fact that Zac Gallen at least knows who we are. That's fun.
There you go.
Do we have that audio now, Damon? Yeah, let's play that audio of Zac Gallen being a maniac.
Definitely, absolutely. There's definitely some motivation there. 10 people didn't put my name on a ballot, so they'll be on a list somewhere. They're on the bulletin board somewhere. But yeah, so I don't know. But yeah, I'll find any little slide I can to throw it up there. Whatever I got to do. It's a long season. Just got to find ways to motivate yourself.
We're going to put that bulletin board together for him, I think.
It's a pretty, it was quite a moment to be there for. You don't, especially from baseball players, I feel like in particular in this sport, guys, they take the high road, right? They want to be professional. And so they back off from saying things like this, right? They back off from, they're going to say something like, that's just the way it went. I didn't do what I needed to be where I wanted to be. And I'm going to, put my best foot forward this season and try to make it right. Zac Gallen is ultra competitive, and he's okay sharing that competitiveness with the media from time to time. And he knows the 10 names that Derek listed just a moment ago. Those are the people who somehow didn't have Zac Gallen in their top 5. And again, I understand what you're saying earlier. It's silly to quibble over a guy, finishing 3rd or 4th as opposed to 5th. I think there is some silliness there. But on the other hand, I don't know how you don't have Zac Gallen in your top 5 in Cy Young voting. I think it was pretty clear cut that he at least should have been that high on everyone's ballots. And unfortunately, that wasn't the outcome.
Well, we do something around here when things don't go the way we think they should and when people have poor performances. And of course, we are going to give to the voters that did not vote for Zac Gallen to win the Cy Young, the OG's performance to forget. By the way, so shout out to OGs and all of our friends at OGs. Make sure to grab yourself a pack of OGs wherever you get your wonderful, wonderful edibles at any dispensary around the valley. It's official right now. OG's new strawberries and cream Happy Balance gummies are live on the shelves. As always, you can find them at your local dispensary by checking out ogsbrands.com. Must be 21 or over to enjoy. And of course, OGs is the best way to get over a bad performance like this one. Though we don't want Zac Gallen to get over this one. We want this to fester.
It's kind of funny we call this the OG's performance to forget when we were just talking about how Zac Gallen is not going to be forgetting this.
Yeah, he will never forget it. So, of course, make sure to try out that strawberries and cream Happy Balance gummy live on the shelves. They are CBD to THC ratio, rebranded as the Happy Balance. So make sure to try them out. And also download the Underdog Fantasy app if you haven't done so already, and get ready for the baseball season. We are riding on pitch counts this year. The Pick'ems game over at Underdog Fantasy, you can go higher or lower. And basically, the more legs you add, the more money you can win, up to $1,000. Literally, all you have to do on pitch counts, they'll give you an amount. You pick higher, you pick lower. That's all you need to do. So you can also draft teams up against 5 of your friends, and the highest scoring fantasy team for that night can win some cold hard cash. Draft 6 NBA players with no positional limits, and whoever scores the most fantasy points wins. Of course, it is a fun app, and I will never stop talking about the money I won on there using pitch counts. So it's easy to get started. Go to underdogfantasy.com or download the app. Sign up with promo code PHNX, and Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100.
Can you do pitch counts in spring training?
I don't think you can. No, I
No?
don't believe
Okay.
you can do that.
That would be
because
kind of silly.
Yeah.
Like the higher or lower on
28.
yeah. 26.5.
26.5 pitches. But, another thing we do around here is we arbitrate stuff because arbitration is a terrible process. It's horrible, and of course, we decided that a can of Arizona iced tea is worth what its label says, and that's 99 cents. So Jesse lost that arbitration.
I don't think we decided
He lost
that.
his arbitration
that's
case.
A mischaracterization of how that
and
went.
he's not the only one, because Josh Rojas also lost his arbitration case against the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I just want to imagine for a second going through this process with your employer, or maybe even your spouse. I don't know. Whoever your boss is in your life.
That would really be brutal.
It would be like some of those commercials where they go to the instant replay, like, and then they go back and they review the argument or the conversation they had, and then they decide who was right and who was wrong. But this would also be more about your value in a relationship, and how you don't really deserve to be paid as much money.
I mean, it's especially messed up in a relationships context, because we're talking dollar values here, Derek. I certainly hope that that's not part of little quibbles you have with your wife from time to time.
It's every quibble, Jesse. But I will say this: at one time, I learned the secret to a happy marriage is keeping separate bank accounts. So that's something that I can impart upon all of you as far as wisdom from a 41-year-old man that's been happily married for more than half of my life. But Jesse, Corbin Burnes had some comments about this. Not
about Josh Rojas,
but about the arbitration. About the arbitration process, about losing his arbitration case to the Brewers. Now, we haven't heard from Josh Rojas yet in regards to this, and we might not, right? Like, we might not hear any kind of.
I'm sure that at some point we will ask Josh Rojas about this situation, and if there's any hard feelings or anything. I imagine there won't be. I think Nick Pecora wrote a story about that earlier in the offseason, and he kind of just talked about it as being the business side of things, and it's not going to damage his relationship with the team or whatnot. But I don't know, once you're in that room and you go through that process and you lose, that's a hard thing to bounce back from in some ways, I could imagine. So we'll have to see how he responds.
Josh Rojas is a gamer. We've talked about that. I mean, I bet he was like staring down members of the front office while he was in there just to try to intimidate them. Might have even tried to pick a little fight in the hallway going into the hearing. I don't know. But like Jesse said, I feel like he understands, like, once he lost, that it's like, all right, whatever, then can possibly move on. However, it is interesting to hear Corbin Burnes' comments about losing his case, and especially the way it went down. First, he sounded a little petty about it taking place on Valentine's Day, which I think anybody in a relationship might feel the same way. But he also sounded like he definitely has some hurt feelings that are going to be, I don't even know if it's hurt feelings, but it's like the relationship,
it's just a damaged relationship.
Yeah, it's a damaged relationship now going forward with the Milwaukee Brewers.
At the hearing, flew in the night before, had the hearing all day Tuesday. Spent Valentine's Day on a plane, got home at 10, 11 o'clock and got to see my wife before she fell asleep. So that was kind of how the Valentine's Day went. So that was fun. But like I say, you kind of find out your true value. You think you work hard for 7 years in the organization and 5 years with the big league team, and you get in there and basically they value you much different than what you thought you contributed to the organization. And it's just it's. Obviously, it's tough to hear, it's tough to take, but they're trying to do what they can to win a hearing. But I think there was obviously other ways that they could have gone about it, and probably been a little more respectful with the way they went about it. But at the end of the day, here we are. They obviously they won it, but when it came down to winning or losing the hearing, it was more than that for me.
Corbin, this is everyone's fear for a player.
All right, so Corbin Burnes, by the way, in case you're not familiar with his time with Milwaukee, had the lowest ERA in all of baseball in 2021. And in 2022, he led the league in games started with 33. He also had the National League lead for strikeouts with 243.
That's a little more significant than leading the league in games started.
But still, I mean, but what we're talking about here, Jesse, is value. Right.
That's true.
And how are you going to take a guy that led the league in games started and led all of baseball in games started and led the National League in strikeouts and try to diminish his worth in a hearing like this? Yeah,
it is crazy. I mean, he won the Cy Young in 2021. So Corbin Burnes is one of the best starting pitchers in baseball. I've seen a lot of evaluators looking into 2023 viewing Corbin Burnes as possibly the best starting pitcher in the National League moving forward. You certainly have Sandy Alcantara in that mix as well, who maybe offers a little more durability. But just the swing and miss stuff that Corbin Burnes has, the variety of pitches, the command he has, it's one of the most complete packages in baseball. And this is disappointing, I think. I'm sure the Brewers fans are very distraught over this situation because at the end of the day, an arbitration hearing is not over a significant amount of money for these franchises, right? I know for us, a difference of a few $100,000 is life-changing, right? But these are pro athletes, and the difference of a few $100,000 is actually not that significant, at least not for the organizations that are paying out this money. And so I think you have to weigh whether it's worth the cost, even if you do think, that a player is worth not what they're asking for, that they're worth a little bit less than that. Is saving that money worth the cost of fracturing your relationship with that player? And clearly, as Corbin talked about there, the Brewers weren't respectful in this process. And I do understand it's hard to be respectful in an arbitration hearing. We've talked about the ugliness of how teams have to basically come out and talk about why the player isn't worth what they're asking for, which is going to be an awkward situation. But what we've heard is that the Brewers basically went after the fact that he didn't take them to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which is not really a Corbin Burnes problem. I mean, if you look at the Brewers roster, Corbin Burnes isn't exactly the reason that they're not getting where they want to go. So that's an outrageous claim.
They had a lead in their division at one point that they kind of squandered away. And again, like you said, that's not exactly a Corbin Burnes issue, considering that the guy still had a pretty damn good ERA.
He had a 2.94 ERA, 243 strikeouts in 202 innings.
Come on, man.
Like going back to Zac Gallen, not that many pitchers in the National League were better than Zac Gallen. Corbin Burnes is one guy. His ERA wasn't as good, but looking at the peripherals and whatnot, you could make a case that he's right there. Like imagine the Diamondbacks in an arbitration hearing with Zac Gallen, devaluing him because the D-backs didn't make the playoffs last year.
And pinning it on him as if it was somehow his fault.
As if he's the problem and, having a breakout season. It's really unfortunate to see the Brewers do this.
My biggest problem too with this is, like you said, there's how much damage has been done to this relationship? How broken is
Corbin
it now?
Burnes going to be willing to consider coming back to the Brewers?
He's an unrestricted free agent in 2 seasons. You're going to lose him at that point, and I feel like you just solidified that with this move. Now, you could say that teams like the Milwaukee Brewers and even, unfortunately, teams like the Arizona Diamondbacks a lot of times might not have a chance in keeping a guy of Corbin Burnes' caliber at all, right? And that's our fear with Zac Gallen is the Diamondbacks not being able to extend Gallen. But it also means that there's things that you do to show a player how much they mean to you, how much the organization values them. And the arbitration process literally destroys that, because the entire purpose of it is to go in there and try to devalue that player's worth to the organization. It's absurd. It's crazy.
I'd be okay if we got rid of it. Would you? No more arbitration hearings.
Yeah, like, can we put in a survey like the rules thing and tell them that this is a pain point for us that we don't want to see anymore?
The fans vote. The fans would like the sport more if there were no arbitration hearings. I will say there on the flip side, there are some logistical nuances there, like player agents. One of their biggest roles is representing their players in arbitration hearings. So it would kind of make agents, wouldn't make them useless, but it would make their role significantly less valuable to players. So maybe there's some concerns on that side. But at the end of the day, it's just a weird baseball quirk. And I think we're kind of all ready to be done with this. And I know that Brewers fans in particular are ready to be done with this after what happened today.
Imagine if they put Hank, the dog, through arbitration. Do you have to go devalue Hank's worth to the organization? Bullshit. I refuse to do it. I would step away at that point. But if you guys are here right now in the PHNX Sports YouTube or the Finks YouTube channel, whatever you prefer to call it, we appreciate you guys for being here. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss whenever we go live or any of the wonderful shows on our network go live. And also leave us a thumbs up for our self-esteem. If you're listening on your favorite audio podcasting app, please subscribe to us there as well. Leave us a review. We always appreciate the feedback, and we thank you for doing so. And of course, consider, if you aren't already a member, joining us over here at PHNX as a diehard member. Not only do you get a free piece of merch like a hat or a shirt every single year you're a member and 20% off all future purchases, but you also get access to our members-only Discord lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan, as well as members-only discounts with some of our partners, members-only merchandise, members-only events, and so much more. You also get this guy's full count article, as well as articles that are locked for members only from Craig Morgan, Gerald Bourget, Howard Balzer, all of our wonderful writers around here. So make sure to do that and join us over here. Become a member. We appreciate you guys for doing so. And the biggest thing is I don't have one in my hand, and I'm kind of upset about it, but grab yourself a Four Peaks Brewing Company beer. I would love...
have you ever done a Four Peaks ad read without a Four Peaks in your hand?
I could see them. They're right there, Jesse, and I just can't get to them. But of course, you grab yourself a favorite beer while you're watching us. Of course, while you're watching baseball this spring, and at all these sporting events happening in February and March. So make sure to follow Four Peaks Brew on social media to get all their latest premier craft brewery information. You can also check out their events calendar at fourpeaks.com/events for all your beer week entertainment. And most importantly, I'm trying to get everybody in this office revved up about it, but if speed and adrenaline is more your speed, the Beer Can Derby is on February 25th at Four Peaks 8th Street Pub in Tempe. And I want to make a Finks Beer Can Derby car. So we're going to make that happen. You can pick up your kits now. Kit pickups are open now. So if you want to show us you got the fastest beer can in the valley, sign up through fourpeaks.com/events. Must be 21 years or older to enjoy, and enjoy responsibly. Jesse,
are we the Finks D-backs show now?
I don't know. I think we are. And
did Zac Gallen make us the Finks D-back show?
I think Steve Gilbert did that.
Steve Gilbert. He did start.
That's the voice you heard in the background of the video when Jesse asked that great question. Torey Lovullo was blown away by.
Steve has this qualm that doesn't make any sense. Because we're PHNX, but he makes the case. All right, well, I write for dbacks.com. But I don't go around calling it dbacks.com, right?
Right. So it's dbacks.com.
Right,
it's an acronym.
But dbacks is like a word, right?
It's a word.
Not PHNX, not a word. Apparently, Steve Gilbert doesn't understand what an acronym is, but I digress.
Yeah. That's absolutely the truth. Jesse and Steve are quite close, actually. They're almost as close, you could say, as Jordan Lawler and Corbin Carroll. Can we get this wholesome picture up? Because this was going to look at this. Does this not warm your heart to see these two guys out there hanging out, broing out, just having a good time at the Waste Management Open?
Steve didn't take me to the Waste Management.
No, he did not. That's true. Guys might not be as close.
We're not quite on that level yet. But yeah, I mean, if you're a D-backs fan, like, I don't know if you can get much more enjoyment out of a single photo than seeing Jordan Lawler and Corbin Carroll hanging out at the Waste Management Phoenix
and like
Open.
That level of friendship, right? Like we're gonna be like with me and this guy, we're gonna be teammates for a long time, and we're gonna bring lots of wins to the Valley. That's what I see when I see that guy. Those right there together. By the way, we also have friends. You know, it's not just them. They're not just the only guys that have friends. We have friends. Our friends, the Amarillo Sod Poodles, by the way. The Amarillo Sod Poodles are our friend. They put out a tweet today with a picture of Corbin Carroll from, there it is right there, looking very fast. See, doesn't he just look fast? Like, what is he even doing in that picture? Like, why is he even running that fast? He shouldn't be putting forth that much of an effort when it's not his turn yet. It's pitchers and catchers' turn. But
are we sure he's running? Like,
what do you think he's doing?
It kind of looks like he's about to fall over.
Yeah, like it looks like he tripped. Right?
Yeah, like I don't have that kind of stability when I run. If you can find a freeze frame where I look like that, then the next frame is me just like falling flat on my
your face.
Yeah. But fortunately, Corbin Carroll's a little more coordinated than I am.
You've looked like this when you've played ping pong before, so I've definitely seen you in this position.
When I'm chasing around the ping pong ball, is that what you're talking about, Derek?
But the Sod Poodles, they asked, what's Corbin running from? We'll Photoshop some of the best answers. Our friend Michael Rokicki had to go ahead and throw us under the bus by saying it was him running away from us. And the Sod Poodle said, big fans of the pod. So look at, there he is in the background. I said it looks like he's running towards us now. That looks like he's so excited to be on our show.
Should we explain for the audio only people?
So the image is Jesse and I photoshopped into Chase Field doing the show, and in the background is Corbin Carroll. Maybe he's running maybe is he running towards the field?
It kind of depends on your perspective. Yeah. Like I guess if he's kind of out by the concourse and you could kind of see him, running the opposite direction of where we are.
Like,
but
maybe it looks like he's like, ooh, before they see me, I got to get out of here, right? Like, that's what they were going with that
it
one.
kind of plays with your mind. I could also look at it and see him like just darting directly at us.
Yeah, he's so excited.
He's running away from something, and we're like the safe haven that he's running towards. So the Sod Poodles just need to do better when it comes to their graphics department. I don't know what this is, Derek. It's way too ambiguous.
Wow.
We do love them. We
absolutely love the Sod Poodles. And of course, we love the fact that this team is very excited. And I think that's the best thing about right now at camp. Someone had asked up in the chat, I believe, about when on this, if camp was open this weekend, where it would be and what time. I think it was Katie right there. Katie Kinnaman asked where and when and what time is the D-backs workout on Monday. Those workouts start at 9 a.m. They last roughly until like 11. They will be taking place on Monday, and they are out at Salt River Field. So once you get out there, there's a designated area for fans to
I think it's
hang out.
The desert lot.
Yeah, the desert lot. Yeah.
I was gonna try to say which road you enter on, but I don't remember the name of the road.
I think, right. No, I know. I'm not trying
it's like
to get there.
off, like if you're on the 101, get off at Via de Ventura, and then there's a road you turn off of Via Ventura, and then you enter the ballpark, and you'll find it. You'll find it. Not
You'll
too
be
hard
fine.
to find.
But yeah, definitely, it was a great opportunity. Jesse and I commented a couple of times that there's not enough fans out there. So if
there's not as many as I remember there being. I know
Right.
it's been a while since this has been a thing that fans could access. So I guess people have maybe forgotten that this is an actual thing they can do. But yeah, if you're looking for autographs, like we said yesterday, quite a bit of opportunity there.
And we actually have some more people asking about that in regards to this weekend. And those workouts are occurring. We talked about this yesterday on Saturday and Sunday, same time. So you can go out there basically between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. and those workouts will be happening then too. It's just kind of unprecedented access to the players. And today we saw, like, for instance, everybody signing. Cattell was going around making sure that nobody got left out. So, I mean, it really is a perfect time, especially for some of the position players, because to be honest, they're not involved in any of these workouts, but they are there working out. So they kind of have a little bit more freedom because these other guys are involved in groups and drills and they have to be at a certain place at a certain time. So that's just something to keep in mind. But once the full workouts open up on Monday, you should be able to see not only the players like all over the place at Salt River Fields, which is a lot of the fun, but you'll be able to see all of the different kind of action that we talked about. You know, some of the things besides just watching them do drills is the fun of watching them play like backlot games and stuff like that. But we saw another interesting thing today. Speaking of the workouts, we saw Nick Ahmed working out with the rest of the like infielders. However, he wasn't throwing the ball back after he was fielding it like some of the other guys were. So it would appear that Ahmed is still maybe a little bit behind, or maybe they're being a little cautious with him as far as, you know, him returning from that injury, but he doesn't seem to be maybe at 100% just yet. It did sound though like they do intend on him being the everyday guy once the season starts. Same thing with Carson Kelly that Lovullo brought up today, that it sounds like Carson Kelly will get the majority of the reps behind the plate for this team versus Gabriel Moreno kind of maybe getting equal time with him.
Yeah, I think Torey was more direct with that competition than he was at shortstop. I asked about the shortstop situation yesterday, and he kind of just said, you know, we're excited to have Nick back, you know, leader defensively, we really missed him. But he also talked about how Nick being out allowed Geraldo Perdomo to come in and get a lot of playing time. So he didn't really say, I agree with you. I do think that Nick Ahmed will be the primary shortstop when it's all said and done. Of course, that is somewhat dependent on what happens in the Cactus League. I do think that Nick Ahmed is the front runner there. Torey Lovullo hasn't quite come out and said that yet. Whereas, as you said, he was pretty direct today that Carson Kelly is going to be the primary catcher, at least at the beginning of the season. Maybe things could change after that. But going back to what you said about Nick, he's coming off of right shoulder surgery. He's removed quite a few months at this point, but a procedure like that is going to take a while. When I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, he said that he did have a setback earlier in the offseason when he was going to ramp things up. They decided to kind of pull things back and go a little bit slower. But Torey Lovullo did say today that he should be a full go once games actually start, and he should be able to, you know, throw from shortstop, which I guess you have to do in order to play shortstop. in baseball. You're gonna have to make some throws every now and then.
Every now and then.
Could you imagine he just flips it to Cattell every time he fields a ball?
Yeah.
Like, hey, can you throw this over to first base for me?
Yeah.
I don't think he'll have to do that.
All right. Well, before we get out of here, we got to give our DraftKings pick of the week. And guess what? The Suns are back, baby. Today was the Kevin Durant press conference, or the introductory press conference. It was very exciting. Everybody seemed to be excited out there except for Kevin Durant, because he doesn't get excited about much else besides free chicken sandwiches.
We ceremonially, though, bet on Mikal Bridges? Like, wouldn't that just... All right, I'll just shut up.
That just hurts my feelings. That hurts my feelings.
Right.
I wasn't ready to go there, and I'm very sad about that. But I will say this: I'm ready to ride with the Phoenix Suns. I'm ready to ride with them on the under for the point total for tonight's game against the LA Clippers at 222. I'm riding with them on the spread at -1. You get good value there at -105. Or the money line. It doesn't matter. They're going to win. I'm also going with Chris Paul with his assists. I did 8 assists, but I think +9 is still pretty good there on that one. So make sure, if you haven't done so already, to grab the DraftKings Sportsbook app. We're not going to talk about our Super Bowl bets because I'm still mad about Purple Gatorade. I still feel like it was an inside job. But I will say, go download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use our code of FINX, aka PHNX. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in free bonus bets instantly. Only at the DraftKings Sportsbook with code PHNX. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And remember, we ride with the Phoenix Suns now, baby.
Did you see, though, Mikal scored 45 points?
I did.
It was beautiful.
In all transparency, I bought a Mikal Bridges jersey the other day on clearance.
A Nets Mikal?
No, they don't have the net. Just like they don't have the Durant jerseys readily available yet. They don't have the Mikal Bridges jersey in the Nets. But I did buy the the city. They had it on clearance. It made it. I love a good deal.
That kind of breaks my heart.
I love a good deal.
They put those on clearance afterwards.
Oh, it's so sad. It's so sad.
Painful.
Yeah.
Do you think we get a Kevin Durant throwing out the first pitch at Chase Field?
Yeah. I don't know about that. Kevin Durant doesn't seem like to care about a lot of this stuff, right? Like, Kevin Durant wants to get on the court and play basketball. That's what he wants to do. He wants to win, and I think he really is excited about being part of this team. But I think a lot of this other stuff, I think that's the kind of stuff that he's not really that into. I wouldn't be surprised to not see him.
We're not going to get a Kevin Durant day
Who
at the
knows?
ballpark.
I want Durantula day. Give me Slim Reaper night at the ballpark. I'm all in favor of
Maybe
that.
A bobblehead.
Yes,
of
maybe a bobblehead. Oh, God, that'd be a great bobblehead. We have a great shirt, though, so make sure to check out the PHNX locker, the Finks locker, again, whatever you want to call it, .com. We have that.
Steve is really polluting your mind.
He has ruined me. And also, speaking of getting out to those games, you can get out to those games if Kevin Durant does throw the first pitch out for an Arizona Diamondbacks game using our friends over at Game Time. Jesse has told you time and time again, it's the most aesthetically pleasing ticketing app, maybe just app in general, but it also allows us procrastinators to rejoice in our procrastinating. You can save up to 60% on tickets when you buy them last minute. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. And of course, make sure to check out Game Time. We did the Super Bowl thing. They had tickets. They just weren't 60% off. But again, if you wait till the last minute on the Game Time app, you're going to score big. We appreciate you guys being here. Of course, thank you so much to all of you for stopping by. Donovan Spencer says Mikal never dropped 45 in Suns. I know. I don't even know what to think about that. Like, were we holding him back? Like, did he need to leave to finally achieve his final form? I don't know. But if there's one thing I know is guys like that, you continue to root for because they're a really, really good person, and all the best to Mikal. But we gotta stop talking about basketball, Derek. Pitchers and catchers reported this week. This is our time. We don't need the other sports. But granted, I kind of started you don't have cleats on, and you did start it. Like, what are you talking about? Get out of here with this nonsense.
Do I have to wear cleats every day because it's baseball season?
Yes, I mean, come on, get your shoe game on point, right?
Can you imagine what Steve Gilbert will do to me if I waltz in there with cleats tomorrow?
I videotape you the entire time. Jesse had a really funny day, by the way. He got interviewed by a Japanese publication of some kind because he was just there looking smart, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what they saw in me, Derek. But they're not the only ones, whatever it is.
He's going to be insufferable to live with for the next 24 hours. But
now I have to play the game of like trying to find like like my interview that I did.
Yeah.
Because
Good
I
luck.
have no, I mean, it was videotaped. So somewhere out on the internet,
Somewhere.
there's me talking about the World Baseball Classic. I was interviewed about which players I was most looking forward to watch,
Right.
who I thought was going to win, which was a question I was not prepared for. And also which players in particular I knew of from the Japan roster, which felt like just a direct attack on my lack of knowledge of
It was good.
Because we
said
talked.
Shohei.
I
He said
absolutely
Shohei
did,
Ohtani.
and I fully acknowledged them. I'm like, this is a me problem. Like this,
yeah.
this is a total like classic American answer. Knows nothing
Mhm.
about what he probably should. But yeah, what I will say is that Japan tends to do very, very well, even if Americans don't necessarily know all of the names on those rosters. So we are looking forward to the WBC.
It's the reason why we legitimately have some excitement about seeing what Scott McGuff can do, because we know that that's a tough environment to pitch in over there. And honestly, his numbers are very good from Japan. So if he can keep up that same level of performance here in Major League Baseball, we might be looking at the Diamondbacks' next closer, or who knows, maybe we don't see a closer at all for this team with Torey Lovullo's change of philosophy when it comes to that role. We have more information about this and the WBC tomorrow, so make sure to stop on back at this time on Friday. We'll have some beers this time. I mean, I'm going to make Jesse drink one. It's the Friday show.
I mean, a
He has
Friday
to
night,
drink
I
one.
guess I have to. I have to let loose a little bit on a Friday night. Right?
But speaking of the WBC, make sure to get your tickets to that. It's a rare opportunity, so don't miss out on the chance to go see the WBC at Chase Field. Remember that those games are only being played in 2 cities in the United States, and we are one of them. So it's a unique opportunity, and you can get those tickets for that on Game Time. Save up to 60% on tickets when you buy tickets last minute, and the best way to support us is by buying your tickets again through the link in the description. We thank you guys again for stopping by. Make sure to follow us on Twitter. I'm at Cap_Caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks. But of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
That would be at Finks.
At Finks and Finks_sports. I hate this so much. Thank you guys for humoring him and me. We appreciate you guys being here. I keep hitting my mic because I'm not used to being in the studio, but on behalf of Damon, Jesse, and myself, we always appreciate you guys stopping by. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you're a Finkser.